En as julle vir byvoorbeeld aan die einde van die jaar moet julle 'n mini-opstel kan skryf. Kom ons sê byvoorbeeld dit is een van die onderwerpe. What is it that you're going to write? So if you must have arguments that's for cloning, what can you say? En Lorraine, ons kan miskien dit bespreek gou met hulle. Hierdie argumente ten gunste van kloning. Hoekom sou hulle sê dat hulle ten gunste is van kloning?
Wat sou julle sê? Onthou, iemand vra hier hoekom is kloning belangrik? En Karen het nou vir julle verduidelik, omdat nuwe weefsels gevorm kan word, jy kan dit veral vir terapeutiese doeleindes gebruik. And if you can produce cells that can replace damaged tissues, damaged bodies, I mean, think of somebody who's been in a car accident, broke their back, now paraplegic. We know that nerve cells cannot regenerate themselves. But what if you can do it through therapeutic cloning?
And I think they're busy trying to do that.
They're doing it, yes.
So if you have an argument for cloning, what can you say?
Yeah.
First of all, what genes do you think will be selected? The good ones. So that it can be passed on into future generations. And it can also help people who are infertile. People who can't have and fall pregnant, people who have many miscarriages, for instance, they can use cloning to have their future generation go
Ja,
on.
mens moet nou net praat, want die probleem is nou net, jy weet, kloning van diere, kloning van plante, wat al in elk geval al jare gedoen word, maar wat as 'n mens begin mense kloon? Kloon 'n mens die hele mens? Jy weet, ek weet nie of die leerders, hulle moet vir hulle ma's en hulle oumas en oupas gaan vra, die film Boys from Brazil, wat juist gaan oor die kloning van 'n hele klomp, of die Hitler-klone. And interesting, Colin mentioned earlier that with a clone, you still get different personalities because they grow up in different circumstances. But with this film, they tried to simulate the conditions in which Adolf Hitler reportedly grew up. In other words, the idea was now, in this movie, to create new Hitlers, to bring a new Nazi regime or
And the Aryan
era.
race, of course.
Exactly.
All the blonde people with blue eyes.
Oh, nee, dat hy dit was nie, maar daar's nou hierdie tipe van ding. En dis die gevaar wat daarin is. Ons weet dat baie dinge goed bedoel word. Hoe sê die spreekwoord, die pad na die hel is uitgeplaveid met goeie bedoelings. En ons weet dat dinge goed bedoel word partykeer. Maar wat van as mense dalk sulke onetiese goed doen?
En ek wil dit tog net beklemtoon dat wanneer ons nou praat hier vir argumente ten gunste van kloning, dan is dit nie ons eie opinie wat ons nou lig nie, maar dit is argumente wat voorgelê word. Wanneer ons nou gaan kyk vir argumente teen kloning, kan ons dalk ook nou sien, want ons gaan nou hierna kyk ook. Goed, maar nou net vir julle net 'n bietjie meer, want daar gaan tog van julle verwag word om dan te gee. Wat is daar, watse argumente kan 'n mens hê om kloning? Byvoorbeeld te sê dit is goed.
In ons eie land probeer hulle die bergkwagga terugbring wat uitgesterf is, deur van kloning gebruik te maak.
En dit is baie interessant hoe hulle DNA gevind het van hierdie bergkwagga. Deurdat die taxidermis het mos 'n stukkie weefsel gekry en hulle die DNA onttrek en hulle het weer die kwagga kan hulle nou weer probeer dit herwin.
So kom ons kyk gou-gou. Ons het gesê daar kan sekere goeie gene geselekteer word.
Ja.
Kyk, kom ons gesels wel goeie gene. Wat nog?
Ons kan siekte-toestande elimineer.
Ja. You can repair damaged organs or treat diseases.
Yes. We can have a higher production of better meat, milk, eggs.
And remember, we're talking about animal cloning now, but cloning has been done in plants for ages now. And we do have higher production rates because of cloning in plants.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think of transplants, they are terribly expensive. So if we can clone organs, it's more readily available.
Exactly.
It's the same tissue that of the person that needs it. So the chances of rejection is so much
Ek wil amper sê die toekoms is cloning by order.
Yes. I mean, how many people are suffering from Alzheimer's? Sometimes I become forgetful and I think, oh my word, this is Alzheimer's light. So, miskien moet ons sê, kyk na beskadigde selle wat vervang kan word met mense wat ly aan hierdie siektes. And I think more important, some certain species that are becoming extinct. We can actually conserve those species.
En dis ook natuurlik die storie van wetenskapfiksie. Dis wat gebeur het in Jurassic Park ook, né?
Ja.
Maar ons hoop nie, ons glo dit nog nie, dis al moontlik nie. Right, so those are arguments
For cloning.
for cloning. But what about against? Because it is an ethical issue.
It is. And it's a big issue. For instance, if we start cloning, what about variation, genetic variation?
Yeah.
We're going to, the gene pool will become so small. So genetic variation is definitely one of those issues that we have to look at. So to have an identical
Dis een van die
organism,
ernstige
and
besware
we're talking about plants as well. As plants can be good because we have selected the good genes to pass it on. But what if mutations should take place? As 'n mutasie plaasvind, wat word met hierdie defektiewe alleel?
Jy weet daar's dalk dood eenvoudig 'n resessiewe geen wat nie raak gesien is al vir geslagte nie, wat die gevolg van 'n mutasie is.
Ja.
Wat jy nou skielik in 'n nuwe organisme inplant wat op die een of ander manier nou na vore kom. En jy weet nie daarvan nie. Jy plant dit voor, jy kry groot hoeveelhede klone en nou sit jy met 'n probleem.
Presies. En jy moet weet baie van hierdie defektiewe allele, dit sien jy nie in die fenotipe sommer nie, want dit is nie genotipe, dit is binne in die organisme se DNA.
Ja.
But that will definitely be passed on to future generations. Ja.
Dis natuurlik ook, ons het net nou gepraat van Dolly wat vroeg oud geword het. Die kromosome het op hulle punte, as ons gou-gou hierso 'n skets kan kry. 'n Kromosoom, as 'n mens hom nou sommer so voorstel vinnig. Op hulle punte struktuurtjies wat telomere genoem word. So chromosomes have telomeres. And these telomeres have a certain length, and it depends on the age of the organism. And the older you get, the shorter the telomeres become. And so what actually happened with Dolly, because she got the chromosomes directly from a somatic cell from her mum, Dolly got short telomeres. So they even shrunk more. So genetically, she was already old by the time she was born.
And I can just imagine, Lorraine, how expensive these procedures must be.
En dan natuurlijk, mensen glo dood eenvoudig dat het verkeerd is, dat het teen God se wil is,
indringend teen God se werk,
dat
se
dit
skepping.
teen hulle godsdienstige, dis 'n godsdienstige beswaar. Hulle glo dis nie natuurlik nie. And remember, when you do these things, when you write your answer, you are not marked for your opinion. If you have an opinion totally the opposite of the person marking it, you won't be penalized. The person is not going to say, yes, I like this idea, or no, I don't like. The person is going to mark, yes, this learner has an idea. He can explain his opinion.
And I think that's important what you just said. They give their idea, but they have to explain that idea. Not that it's your opinion and your idea. Because remember, we have these ethical issues about cloning. For instance, if you should clone an individual, whose responsibility is it?
Yeah.
Who does it belong to? You have a mother, you have a father. But a clone, whose is that? So who will take? Will the government take responsibility? And we should also understand that this technology, it hasn't been done on people yet. So we don't know what the outcome will be on people. So ethically, I don't think it is acceptable. And then I think the biggest ethical issue that we have is, because I told you right at the beginning, remember, we are taking this, we remove it from a fertilized egg, an embryo. So what happens with these embryos after they have removed the stem cells? They destroy it. And the question is this ethical? Because you know, and since you have done reproduction, you see that the 4th week of pregnancy, and these fertilized eggs, how long do they keep them? And especially if you have spare embryos and things, what do people do with spare embryos? They can use it to do stem cell research on it. So there are quite ethical issues about cloning.
It's important, Colin, these learners that we're talking to, they are going out into the world. They should know about these things. They should think about them. En onthou, jy hoef ook nie net jou opinie te gee nie. Jy gaan in 'n stadium gaan hulle vir jou vra hoekom dit eties of oneties kan wees. Jy kan dalk glo iets is 100% reg, maar jy moet ander mense se standpunte ook kan gee. So you have to think about all of these issues, not just cloning, others as well.
Yeah, we're taking cloning as an example, as one example. But what is it if you prepare yourself for an exam? Make sure that you know advantages as well as disadvantages and certain ethical and unethical issues about this.
Ja, en die matriek net gou-gou terloops, ekskuus Karen, hulle hoef nie bekommerd te wees oor die kwessie van telomere nie. Ek wou maar net vir julle verduidelik hoekom Dolly geneties oud was. Julle hoef dit glad nie te ken nie.